It's all about that star power.
Stay tuned because you know Reece is going to have one of your favorite stars with him today.
Stay tuned.
You heard it, man. Of course, we are back at you live. We had to do this show 2 times a day because when this brother said he could be on the Reece show, we had to make sure we made some time and some space for him. We got the world-renowned Michael Colyar in the building. What's going on, King?
Thank you, brother. How you feel today?
I'm feeling great. So what we do here on the Reece show with certain people that have been through certain things, we have to give them what we call the biggest intro ever. So if you are okay with that, we're going to take a couple minutes to give you your flowers.
All right. Come on with it.
All right, here we go. With the chicken. See, I feel like I should have brought my chicken, one of my chickens here today. We can get into it. All right, the biggest intro ever from Mr. Michael Colyar. Today we have the King of Venice Beach, who has been putting in work on stages across the country in some of the most credible comedy theaters of all time. We have seen him on the big and small screen, from cult classics like Martin House Party, Norbit, Hot Shots Part 2, Blackish, and In the House, and on over to huge animated voiceover roles like Princess and the Frog. And he always leaves us with his amazing smile and a repeatable line or 4. In the digital space, you can catch Mr. Colyar and all the stars, I mean all of them, on his new and improved Michael Colyar Moring show. He's created a world-renowned one-man stage show dedicated to his mother. He's a husband, inspiration, genuine giver, a donut connoisseur, if you will. He takes the time to read to the kiddos through his verified social media platforms. This man is hard to ignore and impossible to forget. Michael Colyar is live on the Reece show.
Wow, that was pretty. I'm applauding him. I want to be him myself.
I know. Well, you see him every day in the mirror.
How are you, King?
I'm well, man. It's really good to be able to speak with you, be able to share you with our audience. Like I was saying earlier, man, it is absolutely a pleasure. This is one of those interviews where I'm gonna jump around a little bit because you got so much history that I have to. I would be doing a disservice if I didn't. So I want to kind of walk people through what you're doing now, but I want to kind of start from the early on. Like, knowing you grew up from Chicago. I just had Barry Brewer on. He's a comedian blowing up out of Chicago area.
That's my friend. I love
him. That's it. He spoke very highly of you, man. So it's beautiful to see when people could reach back, reach forward, and reach to the side and bring things together. And for you to share gems with him and drop jewels in him and help him through his journey, it's dope, man. So what is Chicago like? Growing up in Chicago mean to you?
Well, you know, I grew up in the projects, Robert Teller Home, 4352 South State Park 909. So I grew up where you had to learn to survive, man, and do your thing. You know, I come up with 4 big brothers, and I think the reason I started doing comedy is, you know, your mom don't have a lot of time for everybody when she had 5 kids and a husband. So
Right.
I would try to get her attention. I would get her attention by telling her jokes. And it just became a natural thing for me to just try to be funny so my mom would be happy. My mom would spend time with me, and she spent plenty of time with me. So did my brothers. It was great growing up. You know, I grew up in the ghetto, but when you got family and you got love, you don't even know you poor. You know, especially with everybody around you poor too. We just thought we were existing, but you know, we're in the projects for real. And we had to work our way up, and it taught me how to hustle. It taught me how to communicate with people, you know, to be able to talk to folks the right way so you can get to the next level. Because everything really is about, everything's about communication and relationships. You know, it's who you know and how do you talk to the people that you know, how you communicate with those people that will determine how high you go in whatever successful area you're trying to reach. You know, so I got a chance to learn. I grew up in a project where the head of Blackstone Rangers lived, with Chuck Ford lived in my building. He started Blackstone Rangers, was the first large nationwide gang, black gang in the country. You know, so I grew up around that kind of thing, but I had 4 big brothers. So nobody ever tried to make me be in a gang because I lived in a gang. So we never had a problem. We just coexisted with each other, you know, and then from the projects moved out to the south side. South side? Morgan Park was in the Wild Hunters, you know, and there I grew up and went to Morgan Park High School where I learned theater. And I thought that theater was my first love. I realized comedy is, and then I realized later that they both feed
each other. Hey, Mike, we lost. I don't know if you can hear me. I think we lost your audio a little bit. So if y'all tuned in right now with the Reec Show Live, we have comedian and actor extraordinaire Michael Colyar. He's diving into the digital space too. We kind of talking a little bit about his history coming up in Chicago. He just named every single project that you hear in a lot of these songs and seeing some of these movies, especially with Chicago being on the forefront in the new space of media right now. So shout out to what he's kind of going through his history. So as soon as we get him back, we're gonna chop it up a little bit more about that, man. It's just amazing to be able to get somebody of that stature in here today to kind of chop it up with you guys and go over with our audience, man. Like I said earlier during the biggest intro ever, this man has been on so many platforms: House Party, Norbit, Blackish. He's been a Princess and the Frog, for goodness sake. So, we would definitely want to taking our time to kick it with him. He's also got a dope podcast on his on the social media that you can check out on his Instagram page. And he does a thing where he reads to kids, man. He's got a bunch of puppies. He just had his chicken on a second ago. So we definitely gonna dive into that and talk about that too when he jumps back on, which is right now. So we got you covered. We got you back in the building.
I'm back.
Right.
I have a friend that doesn't pay attention to my schedule, so she didn't know that I'm on a live interview, so I'm using a phone. So when she calls, it just shut us off, Anyway, I grew up in the projects, grew up where you learn to fend for yourself, you know what I'm saying? And I learned to hustle in the projects, and it was just a great thing. But what I really learned is my love is communication, is performance, I could talk to anybody about anything because of the type of life I had.
Yeah.
So I started in the projects, I started telling jokes, and then I started doing street performance on State Street in Chicago. I was killing them, and then winter came. Wasn't nobody trying to hear no damn jokes on State Street in December. So I packed up everything that would fit in my car, 1967 Buick Sabre, and I sold everything else, and I drove to California where it was warm and I could do street performance all year round. I found Venice Beach, where I ended up doing 9 years of comedy there from 86 to 95. I do 5 one-hour shows every Saturday and Sunday, telling jokes and pass my hat. I do 40 minutes of comedy and 20 minutes of getting my money. And from that, everything else blossomed. Because people from the industry would see me on the beach and include me either in their movie, like Robert Townsend put me in his first film, Hollywood Shuffle, or they would have me audition for stuff like they said, oh, you'd be good on Martin. So I get a chance to audition. They got me in Martin. They got me in films, and so the rest just kept blossoming as I went along.
So being present, taking that chance and taking that drive out to Venice, you said, I got the formula. My formula is going to be in people's faces on the street because I can connect with anybody with my talent. And you took that to somewhere that you can do it all year long because of the weather, on a chance, just believing and betting on yourself. And from being present, you were able to be present for us on all of these pieces.
Thank you, and that's correct. And you have to start out by believing in yourself because you just remember that God created you. You know, and God didn't create no junk. He didn't say, okay, let me take a sock and a hanger and make some niggas. No, he made you with designer jeans, man.
Yeah.
You're the best of the best there ever was. You ain't got to apologize to nobody. When I hear people saying, oh, I have to beg the Lord for forgiveness, God ain't never been mad at you. He never been pissed off at you because you can't surprise him. You can't do anything that God didn't know you was going to do 1,000 years before he created you. So he's already in love with you unconditionally. So the real goal in life is to learn to love yourself, man. And once you love you, then you automatically love the world and the things around you. Try to lift those things up,
Right.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense, man. I really appreciate, because we hear different stories about how comedians were able to connect with their funny. And you saying that, man, I was one of 5 in the house. It was a bunch of us. I had to make jokes to get mom's attention. I really like that. And that kind of gives you a genuine sense of who you are and where your comedy comes from. But did you have any other like comedic inspirations growing up of people that you thought were funny that he's like, man, this is dope?
That's interesting. Someone asked me that the other day. Who do I look up to? And I only look up to God and my mama. Everybody else I look at laterally. You know what I'm saying? Of course, there's great comedians that helped form my ideas. I mean, the 4 that I name off the top is Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Red Fox, and Lenny Bruce. And Eddie Murphy is the one that really made me realize I could make money at this.
How was that?
In 1984, Eddie Murphy was the hottest thing alive.
Yeah.
He had a comedy concert and an album called Raw. He had already done 48 Hours, Trading Places, and his first Beverly Hills Cops. And he saved the biggest comedy show on television. Saturday Night Live was about to close.
Yeah, he did.
Wrap it up
Yep.
and call it a day. And then they
Yep.
had Eddie Murphy. And it turned everything around. And he could wear the hell out of a red leather suit. And he
Man,
was
come on.
23 years old, dude.
He
He's
set
only
the trend for
23.
that. He set the trend for that
Yes,
for
sir.
comedians
And he
wearing
did.
leather.
And yes, and everybody tried to wear it after him. And he did all that at 23, brother. And he did it telling jokes. And I was like, oh, damn, I've been funny my whole life. I didn't know nobody would pay me like that. I better get out the mustard and catch up. So I went and got Red albums. And I went down my mama's basement where I was living anyway. And I would just play the records over and over and stand in the mirror and tell those jokes until I could tell them like they were mine. So those two components, Red Fox was so great because he could tell a joke clean or dirty and make it funny. He could do a dirty joke without using profanity.
And then he could be
because
Blue.
He paved the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when you talk about Blue, you're talking about Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
But we couldn't have had a Richard Pryor without Lenny Bruce. And
Yeah.
Lenny Bruce was a Jewish comedian from the 60s. And his thing is he would curse on stage. And so they would arrest him. So he fought for us to have a right to speak in our own authentic tongue.
Wow.
So he would get arrested over and over and go to court and fight for a right for us to say what we want to say on stage. It got to a point where the police would come to his shows. There would be 30 police in uniforms standing there with their arms folded, waiting for him to curse. And he would do the whole show without cursing. And at the end, he'd say, F you and good night, and get arrested. And he'd go to court again. He died broke.
Wow.
Because he was fighting for the right for us to be able to say what we want, the way we want to say it. And because of him, you could have a Richard Pryor. Because Richard Pryor couldn't have told his story if he couldn't use authentic language. How you gonna tell a story about whores and pimps and not curse?
Right.
Right. So that's the four people that gave me the foundation that I would look up to or look over at when I want to know which direction to go as I'm doing this comedy thing.
That's amazing that you gave us that gem, because that's like it sounds like he was the NWA of comedy. Like he was the person kind of setting that trend and be like, you know what, I'm going to speak in this raw, authentic voice and let everybody else be able to reap the benefits of my sacrifice.
Yes, and on top of that, he was a genius. I mean, as a stand-up comedian, he was brilliant. I mean, he'd come on stage and say, are there any Mexicans in the room? Wait,
let me make sure.
Ain't no bus boys? Ain't no bus boys? Oh, there's a bus boy. Okay, I see two Mexicans. Any niggas? Okay, I see a bus boy, two niggas, two Mexicans, a Jew, a wop, a nigga, a Mexican, a Jew, wop, nigga, Jew, wop. He said, you know the reason I'm doing that? Because if I keep saying nigga, then you can't break some little black girl's heart because you called her a nigga on the way to school. Oh, he was brilliant, brother. Lenny Bruce was brilliant, but he OD'd. They say he OD'd from heroin because they found him butt naked on his floor in the bathroom with needles sticking out his arm. But all of those who really study him, we believe the police knocked him off. We will always believe that.
It happens like that with trendsetters.
Yeah, boy, he was awesome.
Yeah. That's some research I'm going to be doing after we get off of this live. I promise you that, man. Right now, for those tuning in on the radio side, we got comedian, author, stage play extraordinaire, actor Michael Colyar right here, and podcast host, morning show host. We got him here right now, man. You are a legend within your own right, because if I say your name, I say, oh, we got Michael Colyar. I got my kids know who you are because of certain things, but then my pops was like, oh yeah, I know him. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So you stretch within a great amount, and I think that's due to your work. People know you from your work. And you've been on some cult classics, man. You've been on sets like Martin. You've been on sets like like so many, In the House, stuff like that. I'm just thinking about so many things. What was one of those sets where you were like, man, Bernie Mac show too? One of those sets you just had so much fun that you remember?
Well, I give the most props to the Martin set. First of all, Martin was and still is a genius. And the way he ran that set on Paramount Studio was amazing. I never saw a black person have that kind of power on a studio set. But I wasn't around Eddie yet. I did Norbit with Eddie, and that was ridiculously spectacular. See that guy move.
Okay.
To see him move was like watching a panther in action. You know what I'm saying? We would go to the movie set, be hot, maybe burn up out there, but we knew when Eddie was coming. When Eddie was coming, everything on the scene changed. All of a sudden, they come out and build a tent and put 2 chairs in it with fans, and then Eddie would pull up and sit in one of them chairs in that cool air. And then when it was time for him to do his stuff, he would do it 4 times. He'd do it different every time. Then he'd get in that Escalade and be whisked off. It was so exquisite. It was so excellent. But Martin, his whole set was just butter. I mean, everything from the way he spoke to you, the way they fed you. You know what I mean? They laid out the steaks and the ribs and everything. But he was a genius. He could go back in the dressing room or back to his dressing room, and while you was doing your scene, he was always watching. And he'd come back down after you ran through it once and whisper something in your ear about a change. And you would do that change, and what you did was 1,000 times better.
That's crazy.
My brother really knew what he's doing. He put that thing together. I'll never forget that set. That's probably one of the best sets I ever been on.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, Martin at that time, I mean, still, like you said, he's a legend, man. You can't take anything away from that man. And at that time, he's at the pinnacle of it. He's got his own TV show named after himself on a hit station, hit network, primetime television. And you saying that you'll do a scene, he'll come down and he could high side and be like, hey man, do it this way. You said he'll come down and just be to the heart to you. Say, hey man, try it like this, and then you go and knock it out a different way.
He wouldn't embarrass you or try to put you out there. He would just tell you a way that he think would be, maybe you should try it this way. Then you try it that way, and it was so much better. And the boy's still bad. I just did it 3 weeks ago in Oakland called the Lit AF Tour.
Yeah, I've seen that in action.
Yep, him, Bruce, D. Ray Davis, Ricky Smiley, and me, and and a brother named Benji Brown. And when I tell you, for 7,000 people, we turned him out, and he was the leader of the pack, and he's still just as great as ever. You know,
that's great company right there, man. Shout out to Ricky Smiley, man. I'm always gonna appreciate him. He put me on TV for the first time, so that's my guy.
I gave Ricky his first pair of cufflinks, brother. When he was first starting, when he played that kid character with the big foot. Yeah. And they elevated his role to do something. I remember the day he came in my dressing room. He was like, Mr. Colyar, do you have some cufflinks I can borrow? I still don't think that Negro ever returned them cufflinks now that I'm thinking about it. I'm glad we have this conversation. I'm calling Ricky when I get off the phone.
We gonna tag him on this post right now. Get the free Michael's cufflinks.
Free my cufflinks. Free my cufflinks.
That's what's
he's a
up,
class
man.
Act, and he's really sharp, and he's down to earth. He's a good dude, man.
Right. Now you've done some other amazing things, and I want to touch on this one man stage play, Michael Colyar's Mamas. Right. I love this. That's it. I love this. And let me tell you why I love this.
Right there. That's Mary Lena Smith. That's my mama.
You said earlier your comedy started by trying to get her attention. Now you're able to pay homage to her by doing a one man using all of your talents and your notoriety to do this stage play, man. Tell me what this like for you. How did you come up with this? And then what it's all about.
Well, it's really my story, but it's really also the story of a man that loves his mama. And my mother and God are the reasons that I love who I look at when I look in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? I mean, all I really, really want to do in this life is make sure that my mother and God are proud of me, and it follows my life, I grew up in poverty, we were poor. I mean, we were so poor. I know how to make hot water cornbread from scratch. I know how to make cornmeal mush. I know some people out there had cornmeal mush. Have you ever had cornmeal mush?
I've had, man, listen, I stayed with my grandparents in Garrisburg, North Carolina. There's not too many meals or side dishes that can surprise me.
Come on now. Now, I know some of the bougie people out there who just had cereal and milk. Right. Don't know about no cornmeal much. But I bet you some of them remember having a cereal, but not affording the milk. Had to put some water on that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, my parents were so poor they couldn't afford to have kids. The lady next door had us. Also, it covers my addiction. It covers my addiction as well. As you know, I'm a crackhead. I did crack for 23 years. And as of March 1st, I now have 10 years of pure sobriety.
Hold on,
So
I got
in
this
the
hype
play,
bell.
You see me act it out.
I got this hype bell. I got to hit it for the hype bell, man. Listen, it's addiction as we learn it now. See, during a certain time during the 80s when you had that crack epidemic, right, through the 90s, they would call it a crack epidemic. They would call you a crackhead. They would call you this. Now we got this opioid stuff, right? And then they say, oh, he's a victim. It was the same thing. It was just a different hue of people using it and becoming, getting addicted to these types of diseases. So what we want to do right now is change the narrative on you right now, right here, and say, listen, man, you are an inspiration for people who need to get past that disease.
Well, exactly, and that's why I do the show. I don't bite my tongue about it. I don't hide it. You see me go through the addiction because what happened is I got to California and learned how to do comedy. And when I got there, I started making stupid money. I mean, I would go home every weekend with a sack of money and I didn't have any bills. And I think Robin Williams said it best. Cocaine is God's way of saying you're making too much damn money. So before I knew it, I was off in this addiction. And, I wasn't feeling bad about it. I hear people all the time, oh, I was addicted. My life was so hard. Not me, dude. I was having the time of my life. Wow! I found myself in hotel rooms with people I generally wouldn't talk to on the street. You hear me? Man, let me tell you something. I can make a crack pipe out of anything. A piece of glass, a soda pop can, a Tampax, a car antenna. If you came out your house in the 90s and your car antenna was gone, that was me.
It was on you.
In the play, you see me act out my addiction. From its beginning to 3:30 in the morning, I'm sneaking in the house, trying not to wake up my wife. My heart's pumping fast, my eyes roll around my head. I'm sweating like R. Kelly in the playground. And along the way, this addiction, I found out something big, that everything is about family and God.
Yeah.
Really, once you get family and God down, your life straightens up and everything comes back together. But you got to understand their importance and utilize them the proper way in your life, man. Where God is, there is nothing that's impossible. Nothing. Well, only thing that's impossible for God to do is fail. That's the only thing that he can't do is fail. But otherwise, there are no impossibilities. And so I learned along the way to live a better life, I mean, I love what I do. When people see me perform, you can tell that I love what I do. That's the key to life. You got to do what you love. You got all these young boys out here now. Man, I'm going to get that bag. I'm going to get that bag. It's all about getting the money. Don't chase money. You can't catch money. Money way faster than you. Money gets way more experience running from your head than you have chasing it. But if you follow your heart, then God is your supply. And these are the things we discover in this play. It's a 90-minute play called Michael Colyar's Mama. And sometimes you hear who the person who's putting it together's name in the title. Like it's possessive, like you hear Tyler Perry's Ambition. No, it's not like that. It's Michael Colyar's mama, because it ain't about your mama. It ain't about her mama, his mama. It's about my mama. It's about Michael Colyar's mama. It's 90 minutes. I play 17 characters. I play my mother, my father. I play myself in 4 ages. I play all 4 of my big brothers, the alcoholics, crackheads. I tell this story about where I came from and where I am now. And hopefully it serves as a way for other addicts to realize that they don't have to stay there. I can change my life at any moment I choose, but what moment shall I choose? I did 23 years of addiction, and now I'm smack dab in the middle of my dream. So hopefully somebody who's only been getting high 11 years, or 3 years, or 14 years can say, look, he did it. He turned it around. Maybe I can too. And if I could do that while teaching you, while lifting you, while impassionating you, then I've done my job. Because the thing is funny, it's dramatic, it's heartfelt. When it's over, man, grandmamas come up to me after the show, baby, if you ever want a home-cooked meal, you just call mama, And so I feel real good about it. My goal is to do 100 cities. I've done 8 so far. Only got 92 to go. In fact, in Los Angeles, there you go. I'm going to be doing it again for the 4th time in Los Angeles. And I'm doing it the 4th week in February and the 1st week of March, and some television people are coming to see it. So if you're in Los Angeles during that time, it's at the Hudson Theater in Hollywood. Fourth week
Okay.
of February, first week of March, it's going to be off the chain, but I'm doing 100 cities. I'm going to Broadway, and I'm getting my Tony Award. I'm telling you that right now. It's already done. I'm getting that.
Speak it. I love it, man. Listen, I'm in LA. I'm booked in LA the middle of January. I'm gonna tell them, hey, you're gonna have to bring me back in February because I'm coming to see it. I'm coming to see it.
Dang. And when you come, what do you do when you come? Are you a stand-up?
Yeah.
You're a
I
stand-up
can see it
comedian?
now. No, I do. Yeah, I've been hosting. Ricky got me into it. He got me into hosting stand-ups. He was like, man, he told me, he said, man, your timing. I don't want to talk about myself. This is about you. But Ricky told me, he's like, man, your timing and what you do with radio, you'll be good at stand-up. So I've been doing hosting.
Nice. I believe him. I think he's correct. He's on the mark.
Yeah,
You know?
I appreciate it. Man, one thing I say this for sure. My pops don't come in for nobody interview. He saw who was on here. He just came back. Man, you had him dying a few minutes ago through your spiel. He was just over there dying a few minutes ago. So shout out to Pops, man.
Oh, that's your father?
Yeah, we work together. We business partners. So he just came. He's my manager. You know what I'm saying, too. So he came back here to see what was going on. But he's listening. He could hear everything. So he was like, man, I'm about to go and watch it on TV because we streaming live right now, too.
A lot of adults don't realize how blessed they are to still have their parents, man.
Yeah.
You know, to have your parents in a later age in your life is such a blessing. They say you don't miss the water until the well is dry. And that's how mama is. She's the real deal Holyfield, man. When your mama gone, there's a hole in your heart. But as long as you hold people in your heart, they're never dead. They're always alive and well. I talk to my mama every day. Now, of course, if I hear her talk back, I will be getting some professional help. But she still informs my every decision, man. I don't do no bad stuff on purpose. If I mess you up, I swear to God, it was a mistake because I know my mother is watching, you know?
Right. I know I've heard you say before that my mama taught me right I did wrong. So you do hear her talk back, but you hear it through your actions now. So I get it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And through things I do, through things I won't do because I know my mother wouldn't. You know, some things I cook because I know my mother would have cooked it like that, you know? Yeah. And I trust life now. I trust God. And I trust God without reservation. I don't even think about it twice. If I put it in God's hands, it's done. And I'm big on prayer. You know, I just think, you know, that everything I've ever been in, any situation that didn't work for me, all I had to do was pray. And I get out. Prayer got me on my plane to where I am now. I'm in Kansas City. Actually, I'm right outside Kansas City. Kansas is a small city called Leawood, I think it is. I'm doing the comedy club of Kansas City. And I almost missed my plane, brother. All kind of stuff happened to stop me. But the whole time, every time there was something slowing me down, I said, come on, God, we got to get out of this. Come on, God, help me. Let me get through this one. Oh, we're going to make it. And I mean, I made it by the hair of my chin, brother. But I've never had a case where I've called on God and he failed me. He's never not shown up. He's never either not shown up or didn't send an angel to step in for me and to get me there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's it.
Absolutely, man. Somebody in the chat just said Kansas City checking in, so I appreciate that too. And they listening and watching. Shout out to Just AB. Man, let's talk about moving into the pandemic. It seemed like you really got into the gift and doing this podcast thing during the pandemic. Is that what happened where you sat down and said, let me use this phone to get my talent out here and tap in with some of my celebrity friends?
Dang, dude, you are sharp. You know, you've really done your research. You know, some people just have the surface information about me, but you really got it down. Exactly. My podcast, I created this podcast so that people would have a place to come and laugh and pray every day.
We needed
every
that.
Day we make sure we have a comedian on the show, and halfway through every show we stop and pray. And either I do the prayer or I'll bring in a minister or a pastor or a bishop to do the prayer, because I think people are more messed up with fear and stress than they are the actual virus. So March 13th, every comedy club in America closed at the same time, on the same day. So all across the country, every comedian was out of work. So I could have went home and cried like a little girl, or I could have went home and figured out something else to do. So I sat at my table and opened up my devices and started my show, which is the Michael Colyar Morning Show. I ask anyone who's watching to please subscribe. Just go to YouTube and subscribe to the Michael Colyar Morning Show. I do it 5 days a week. This morning we did our 320th show. So 5 days a week, I do a solid hour with my guests at 10 minutes after every show. 10 minutes after the show starts, we have a comedian. A lot of times it's comedians I've seen. Sometimes we have comedians I haven't seen. We call it a shot in the dark, because we don't know what we're going to get, you know. And we had a shot in the dark today, and this girl was wonderful. And then we had a comic, second shot. His name is Jay Washington. He blew us out the water. He was so amazing, from Chicago. So we bring comedians, musical artists, people who help the community. We had a brother on today. His whole life is spent on feeding other people. I just want to feed the homeless. He's driven by that, you know. And then we talk about Christmas, and we talk about God, and we talk about life, and we just try to lift people up. And it's a solid hour. And it's the most important thing I do right now. I mean, I do 3 things on the internet. 5 days a week, I do the Michael Colyar Morning Show. Every Tuesday on Instagram, I read books to the children. Right. It's called Reading with Mr. Mike. And the chicken.
Where's the other puppets at? We need the other puppets.
And this puppet named Roscoe are actually the hosts.
Huh? Oh, I was gonna say. I know you got Roscoe, and then you got the little girl. Yeah.
Oh, you seen it?
Yeah, I seen it. Yeah, I got it.
So wonderful, but you didn't see Billy. I got a little boy named Billy who throws rocks at people's windows. Only thing is, he throws them so soft, it don't never break the window. It just hit the glass and falls to the ground. Then there's a cop that chases him. Then there's a construction worker that makes sure the camera's straight. We be like this. He be, hey, what's going on? Wait a minute. Who hired y'all? This must be your first job, you know. And then after I go through all of that, then they bring me on, and I'll read to the children. I'll give away puppets and books, because I encourage children to read to the parent.
I get it.
As opposed to the parent reading to the child. So it also connects them in a deeper way with their parent. You got a puppet? You got a puppet over there? Oh my goodness. I have puppeteers who come on all the time. On the morning show on a reading with Mr. Mike one day and bring the puppet. We have a pig puppet that comes on, and his name is Schweinstein. And he's a pig, a Jewish pig.
That's a double entendre. I like it.
Yes, and he sings songs and stuff, and brothers come on with their puppets. I really want to create a whole community just for the children to show up and read books. And then most Wednesdays I do a thing called Superstar Interviews. So I interview superstars one-on-one for 30 minutes. I've done Wyclef Jean, Russell Simmons, Yolanda Adams. Hey, shout out to Yolanda Adams. She just got a new TV show, brother, and she is the lead. It's called Kingdom Business. So it's sort of like Empire, but it's set in the church. And she's the head of the church. Plus she sings, and she's like Taraji Henson in a Christian setting. Oh, it's gonna be so cold. So
that sounds like
celebs come on, B. Simone. Yeah, so that's what I do. Those are my main 3 shows. And every weekend, I'm somewhere doing 5 to 6 shows of comedy. Like I'm doing 5 shows here in Kansas, 2 Friday, 2 tonight, 2 tomorrow, and 1 Sunday. So you have 5 opportunities to miss me. And we just keep on building shows and just living. I'm just trying to unfold into my greater self, brother. I'm just trying to keep on living and sharing and loving and lifting society.
I think you're doing that. You're doing that through the work. I'm glad you mentioned the books. I was definitely going to bring it up because I write children's books too. So I would love to send you some if that's okay. Send you some books out.
Send me one. I'll read it. Send me some. I'll read it to the kids and give me a couple and I'll give them away.
Oh, absolutely. We definitely going to do that and hook that up afterwards, man. And then to talk about the celebrity interviews, you are really, really capitalizing on your presence and your base as well as your relationships, man. I think that's awesome, and it's an inspiration to other people that get out there because you said it the best. The pandemic did one thing to everybody. It sat everybody down, and what you were able to do is give folks inspiration and hope because some people didn't have it. I mean, you got folks in the house, and some people were in a comfortable situation satisfaction, but we forget about some people maybe in abusive relationships, or the kids are not in the most healthiest of households, and they can all maybe get on a book or Instagram, or a computer, because they had to do virtual learning, and you giving them something else, something to laugh at, something nice and clean, and you giving them, your path to God too, and your path to do the right things, man. So I just want to hit this hype bell and say we appreciate you, man, for real, for that.
Whoa. Well, I thank you. I think that God gave me a magic wand. That's my blessing, and that wand's called humor. And humor is healing. You can read books that will tell you about it, that people's health has improved because they laughed more. You know what I'm saying?
Patch Adams.
When I'm getting you a laugh, and nowadays people so scared, strung out over no jobs, over unemployment, over COVID, over the black man's coming, over so many fearful, terrible things. If they couldn't laugh, they'd hurt somebody, or even worse, they might hurt themselves. So laughter is healing. If you can laugh through a thing, you can get through a thing. And God bless me with the ability to find humor in everything. There's nothing I can't find the humor in. And so my job is to come and find you, my brother, and to lift you up with joy and energy, and to remind you where you come from. You come from greatness, man, especially black people. Our ancestors are it. Black people are my favorite people in the whole wide world. And I say it in a room full of white people. I don't care. I love it. I mean it. And I think somebody once said God created black people, and black people created everything else. Go back and look at our history. All the
You're right.
Stuff, we put it together. So I encourage us to keep loving each other and lifting each other up. And don't let people outside of our culture train us to hate ourselves. Because our society's done a really good job of treating black people and teaching black people how to hate black people, how to be scared of black people.
Right.
How could I be scared of my own brother? Don't get me wrong. I ain't going down a musty, funky alley in Brooklyn late at night. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But
With my jewelry on.
When you walk past me, I grew up in a community where black people spoke to each other when they walked by. How you doing, brother? Good afternoon, ma'am. That's how I was raised, and that's how I will always walk. Because I'm a king, and I don't need anyone else to anoint me. God anointed me by creating me. And so I honor God by walking in the light that he created. You don't really serve anybody well to minimize yourself so other people feel well. I'm calm myself down so you don't feel bad. My job is to shine my light. And if I shine my light brightly, it gives you permission to shine your light too. You know what I'm saying? And people laugh. And if along the way I can go to the bank, well, doggone it, thank you, Jesus. Because I am a shopper. Don't get me wrong.
Hey, listen, man. We call that
I don't even need,
We call that reparations, don't we?
Well, it's well overdue. Everybody got this but black people.
Right.
Everybody.
All right.
They found 2 Martians. They gave them reparations. People even ain't on the planet get reparations.
That's crazy.
And we don't have it yet.
That's a problem. That's definitely a problem, man. We got Michael Colyar right now for those tapped in on the radio side of it, man. I got to give a shout out because you a legend. We just had a legend just tap in the chat and called you a legend. So shout out to Head Crack. And I'm extremely surprised that he's on this because it's his birthday today. So happy birthday, big dog.
What's his name?
Head Crack from the morning show, the Morning Hustle morning show, man. He's on a syndicated show. This guy's on TV shows and all this type of stuff. So he just checked in, man. So we appreciate his presence too in the chat. So thank you, man. Yeah, man, I could talk to you all day. Like this interview is gonna be 5 hours if we keep going like this. But I do want to ask you this one thing. I like to ask certain people this question. What is fatherhood to you?
Fatherhood is everything to me. I don't know if I get it right, though, but it's everything to me. Because I have a son at 43 that I'm not thrilled with. I would love to see him do his life a different way, but he's grown. And when people are grown, you can't tell them what to do. Right. On the other hand, I have a daughter that's 26, and she is everything. She could think she wants something. I'll run out and get it. And she never asks for anything. Right. She is beautiful. She sings her heart out. She could sing the paint off the wall. She loves Jesus. She loves family. And she's just an awesome person. In fact, I encourage people to go to her page, Ulani, like Lonnie with a U in front of it.
Okay.
Ulani. Ulani for the soul. And,
Okay.
and watch some of the stuff she does. Things that she sings, photography and things that she creates. She's just an awesome, awesome artist and a wonderful human being. I'm honored to know her, you know. So I think fatherhood is very important because the way the Christian system has been designed since the beginning of time is that the father is the head hold of the family. Now, a lot of situations have changed that. Some families have two fathers in that family. Some families have two mothers in that family and no father. So there's variations on modern day family, and there's no right to wrong or wrong to it. The right is what's right in your heart. But the traditional family is father, mother, and the children. And the father being the head of the household is supposed to look after them kids, man, and look after that family and also encourage them and lift them up and remind them of their greatness, you know. And I try what I can to be that and to do that. I'm going to always be there for her and to lift her and try to guide her. I tried to do it with my son, but he got away from me, you know. And I still reach out, and I hope that one day things change, because what we learned in this play I'm doing is that I can change my life at any moment I choose. But what moment shall I choose? At any moment, you can change. You can kill who you are today by rebirthing someone new tomorrow, the one you really want to be. And you just have to know we have all that power within our hands. And if you're someplace you don't want to be, remember you created all the elements to get you there. You made a series of choices that got you to where you are today. So if you don't like where you are today, choose again. Make a different choice. And it can change just like that, because once again, God is the head kookamook and the bottle washer of my life, the king of the universe and the ruler of my soul. So there is nothing.
But you preaching on a Friday. You a little early. You're a little early for Sunday, man.
Well, I will be passing the plate, and this afternoon the gospel.
There we go.
They only take tithes and love.
So use your fives for the collection plate, but keep the singles for later this evening. I got you.
Yes.
That's what I call balance, my brother. Now before
yes, that is definitely balance. Don't take life
right.
Ain't nobody gonna get out of it alive. So have fun, live.
Absolutely, man. Mike, before we get up out of here, Mr. Colyar, I got to show that respect. I would like to do this. We asked 4 questions. I fast 4 questions. So if this okay with you, we're going to play fast forward. It is the first answer that comes to your mind. It don't have to be one word. It could be a whole sentence. It could be a paragraph. But just the first thing that comes to your mind when we ask you these questions. Some of them are real easy. Some of them might make you think a little bit.
Okay.
All right, here we go. What is your favorite thing to eat on the road? Because we know you are a touring comedian.
Collard greens. I'm
Okay.
a collard green eating food. I don't go to no city in America without trying to find a soul food restaurant. I want to know where the soul food restaurant is. Who got the short ribs? Who got cornbread? Who who got the candied yams? I love soul food, and by going to the soul food restaurant, it also puts me in the community. It's usually on Martin Luther King Drive. You know, Martin
Every
Luther King
soul
Drive
food
in
is
the
by
black
Martin
neighborhood.
Luther King.
It's only the black neighborhood. They never run more than 4-5 blocks.
Right.
Literally, that's where you can find a soul food restaurant.
There we go. I hope y'all put that in your notes for when you're traveling. All right. You go on tour with 5 acts, but these 5 acts are also going to be on the same tour bus while they're shooting a behind the scenes reality show. Who are those 5 acts rolling around with you?
Wow. I don't know. I know right off the top of my head, I wish it would be Tony Roberts. Tony Roberts is a genius. There's a Tony in D.C. that Dave Chappelle spoke about. Tony Woods,
Okay.
who is absolute genius, is Tony Woods. That young boy that came on my show today, named Jay Washington, I want to work with him. I'm a fan working with him. He would definitely be on there. I mean, I wouldn't go with the bigs because all the bigs are already, they doing their thing. I want to work with folks who haven't got their break, haven't got a chance to get in there yet. Damon Williams out of Chicago, who is so wonderful and so funny, so brilliant, fast.
I was on his Comedy Squares. On his Comedy Squares this summer. We have some mutual I guess business people, and my agent knows him, and they hooked us up, and got the chance to be a part of that with him and Rodney Perry. It was so dope. Super dope.
And I would probably throw Rodney Perry in there too, from Chicago. Yeah. Those might be the ones off the top of my head. Now, of course, It would be different, probably different, a little different, if I had time to really think it out, because I know so many wonderful comedians. I mean, awesome comedians.
And you showcase a lot of them during the week, so I know you probably thinking like, well, this person I just had on might be dope. But I get it, man, because it's so crazy. I want to give you flowers for that. I'm sorry.
I just want to say, I didn't mean to cut you off, but on my morning show, we do a comedian every morning at 10 after.
Yeah.
The show is 7 o'clock Los Angeles time, so you have to adjust it to your time. But you don't have to just watch it in the morning. If you go to YouTube, put in the Michael Colyar Morning Show, you can watch it anytime, day and night. But we showcase a comedian every day. So we have put 320 comedians on that we've showcased since we started doing this.
And you don't have to do that in a person with your resume, with your IMDb credits. Doesn't have to do that or share your platform. But for you to do it, I got to hit the hype bell again. Because that's like, if you can imagine Chris Brown right now opening up and just saying, hey, I'm going to have a different singer come on every day, and I'm going to showcase them off of my platform. That's crazy. That is amazing, and we appreciate you for that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Let me get back to this fast food. I appreciate the chicken, man. All right, if you could pick one thing that you wish people knew or understood about you without ever having to talk to you, what would that thing be?
That I love God more than life. I am a person who's willing to die for God. If I heard the voice say, this is God, run in front of the bus, I'll see you niggas later. I'm running in front of that bus. I love God more than I love me, and I love Michael Colyar. But God moves me in ways, man. I hear people say God is good, but I don't say God is good. I say chicken is good. God is great. Allah Akbar. God, He's all of it, man. And as long as He is the center of your heart, all of your desires are attainable. If God is not the answer, then you're asking the wrong question, man. He that dude, man. He the one. He the real thing. He's like Coca-Cola. He's the real thing, brother. And I would like you to know that about me.
You're right. When you try to picturize, you say it like this: God is in heaven, where is what the highest place. So if you're trying to reach God, you will surpass anything else. You can reach anything else. If you're going to the highest place ever, you're going to be able to reach all your goals. So I definitely understand that.
And He resides within you. There is no place where God is not. No place is dank and dirty. No place is super and fabulous. There's no place where God is not. So He's in you, as you, around you, and through you. If you really want to achieve happiness, that's an inside job. Once you can get your love together with you, get what's going on inside you together, there is no problem outside of you.
There we go. Last question on the fast forward. If you could go back and tell yourself anything at any point in time, what would that time be, and what would you say?
Don't smoke crack. I would say that right away. In fact, if I could say anything to the younger me, I would say do not use anything that alters your mind, ever. It could seem like fun at first, but the road back is so long. It's such a long and arduous task to get back to your center. And in your center, you don't have anything that alters your mind, because you don't need anything to alter your mind to take you to heaven. All you have to do is concentrate on the one. Concentrate on Father God and what your dreams are. And what you see is what you get anyway. Whatever you focus on is what you're going to have. So if you're focused on love and peace and power and abundance and joy, that's what you're going to get. I hear people say, oh, the universe has cursed me, or the universe has blessed me. The universe does neither one. The universe responds to your vibration. Whatever you send to the universe sends back to you greater. So you want to concentrate on positive things, so the universe supplies you with more and more light, love, peace, power, abundance, joy, good health, all those things that make your heart sing a royal song. So if I would tell myself anything, don't do no stuff that's addictive or that will alter your mind. You don't need to do that. And it's deep, because I'm now building my own podcast. And it's called It's called. No, I can't tell y'all yet. I
Next interview. I'm gonna hold you to it. Next interview.
I was about to say it. I got too carried away. I can't keep it.
Look, next interview we're gonna have it. One thing I will say about this, man, everybody that I know that has seen you, met you, ran across you, you have touched, you've done something to them in a positive way. They remember you in a positive light, and I just want to say I appreciate that. My boy AG from Antoine from Chicago, Antoine Green from Chicago, he said, man, that's my guy. So I wanted to just name drop him for you. And then
Thank
April
you.
said, my boss, hey, that's my boss on with you right now, April Ridley. So hello, April.
Miss April Ridley, thank you for hooking this interview up. She's a wonderful person, and we're glad to be working with her. Thank you, April.
All right, man. Mr. Michael Colyar, comedian.
Hey, I would ask people to follow me on Instagram. It's real easy. It's just my name, Michael Colyar, spelled Colyar. Colyar. I personally answer every DM myself. And please follow my morning show that's going on YouTube, and just put in the Michael Colyar Morning Show. Don't just put in Michael Colyar. I got too much stuff out there. You'll never find me. But put on the Michael Colyar Morning Show. And if you really love me, follow me on my Cash App. That's $ Michael Colyar's money.
There we go. The chicken got to eat too.
Chicken got to eat too. That's right.
That's a beautiful thing. Make sure you guys do that, man. I've been checking out the podcast episodes. It's wonderful. And on his last post, he gonna tell you what to get at Krispy Kreme. So make sure you follow that too, man. Get something sweet in your system for the weekend. So
Well, brother,
appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you more than I can say. You are an excellent interviewer. You know, you're well informed, you're sharp, you're courteous, you're a gentleman, and I was honored to be here today. I thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I take that wholeheartedly. I appreciate that. We will leave you with this Reese's Peace of Mind before we get out of here. And this is kind of goes right in line to what we did in this interview today. Or Pops knows best. I'm actually stealing this from my dad and my Pops. A person's life is not defined by their mistakes. It's characterized by his recoveries. When I say his, of course, I mean her too, or whatever you identify as. So a person's life is not defined by their mistakes. It's characterized by their recoveries. So make sure that you don't get down on yourself about it. Things that are halting you, holding you up, or pulling you back. Just know that you can recover by making the different set of decisions, maybe hanging around a different type of people, or maybe being a different type of environment, and you have the power to do that within yourself. And like Mr. Colyar said, you could do it through God or whatever you believe in to get you to a higher plane in life. Appreciate you guys. We're gonna tune in and tap in with our mix coming up right here on Reec Radio. Those on the live stream, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We are gone.
Happy holiday.